Hi everyone, Linda here again with you from Gunlock Lane Jewellery. This week we're back to doing making a link. I did a ring last week and every time I do something different, my viewership drops. So I'm back to doing links. This link I think you're all going to love, especially if you love spirals. This is the little link that we're going to be making. I think it's a lovely little link. So if you'd like to learn how to make this link, just stay with me. I'll get all my supplies together and we'll get going. Okay, we're starting off with our wire, and I've got 20 gauge wire here, 2 pieces. You could obviously make this in an 18 gauge. You could probably make it in a 22 gauge. I wouldn't, I'll explain this when I get along a little bit further. This piece here, so we'll just talk about this piece for now. So you could make this, yeah, I would say this is 20, you could do 22, maybe a 24, 18, you know, just play around with it and see what you come up with. But I'm using 20 gauge for this one, for the look that I'm going for. So this piece measures 14 centimeters, which is about 5.5 inches. So I'm just going to find the middle of this piece of wire here now. Obviously that's going to be 7 centimeters. And I'm just going to mark it, and mark it all the way around. So if your wire twists, you can still see where your mark is. So it doesn't have to be perfect, just roughly like that, so you can see it all the way around your piece of wire. Okay, we'll get onto this piece in a minute. All right, so we've got the middle of our wire there. Make sure both your ends are flush cut, and I'm going to use my round nose pliers for this one. I'm just going to make as smaller loop as I can possibly get on this. So bring it around. And look at that, it's almost perfect. You always get a perfect one when you're not trying to. Okay, I know I'm going to take some of that off. So it looks roughly like a little hook. I'll grab my flat nose pliers. And I'm going to close this up, but not all the way, obviously. I just want to bring it in closer and make it smaller. So just a little, like an eye. There, like that, if you can see that. Hopefully you can. All right. Now we're going to use our flat nose pliers and just take that little bump out of that there. And we're going to start spiraling our wire. Now when you do this, I'll show you when we get up to the first bend. I'm going slow here so you can see. You want to leave a little gap here between this wire here, and this wire here. Not as big as this one, just a little one, and you'll see why later. So you don't, what I'm trying to say is you don't want it to be tied up against this curl, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. All right, just going to spiral this along. And you can make your spirals as perfect as you like, except for that bump there, or you can make them look more organic. It's, you know, or like looser, you know, not as tightly wound, however you feel like doing it. Okay, we're going to bring it up now so that this, our mark here, our black line, is pretty much center with our loop in the middle, if you can see that. Okay, then we're going to turn around and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So what I'll do is I'll come back when I've done this side. So we're doing exactly what we did on the other side, except you're turning your spiral and loop that way. So you turn your loop up here and then spiral it in that way, if that makes sense. So hopefully it does. So don't do it that way, do it that way. Okay, I'll come back when I've done this side. Okay, so I'm coming up onto the last bit of my spiral here. So I'm just turning that around. You want to bring it up so that it's the same as the other one over the top of the mark that we made, the black line. See what I mean? So it's sitting parallel, what is it? Perpendicular. I think that's right. Words just escape me these days. Okay, I'm going to grab my block and my rubber hammer, and we're going to give that a bit of a bash. Okay, and while I've got my block out, I'm going to grab my metal hammer, put that one aside, and we're going to work on this. I'll just move that out of the way so it's not shiny in your face. So we've got a piece of 20 gauge wire here, and I've made it perfectly straight, and I've shown you how to do that in a previous video. I'll link that video up here and down the bottom if you care to take a look at how to make your wire perfectly straight. So I'm going to grab my, and both ends are flush cut, my round nose pliers. I've got a mark on my round nose pliers here, so I'm going to go into that mark and I'm going to turn a loop like that, and I'm going to bring it back. This wire here I'm bending back that way, and then closing up that loop, and then just checking it, and I want it a little bit more. I want it to look like an eye pin. Close it up. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. So block and metal hammer. Now watch you don't bash your fingers, and sorry about the noise. Okay, we're going to hammer this end of it here. So we're just hammering it down flat. Don't worry if it starts to curve, that doesn't matter. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. I'm coming up this end here now, and I'm just going to hammer this part in here the same as what I hammered down here. And then the loop, I'm just going to give a light hammer. It doesn't need much at all. So put these away. Then we're going to close up our loop because it will come apart when you hammer. Close that up like that, and that looks pretty good. There we go. Now I just wanted to mention on this one too here, I forgot to say it earlier, when you make your original little loop things here, and you've cut your little piece off and you've got your hook and you're making it into the eye shape, make sure that you close it up well enough that the hook part touches the other part of the wire. So you want it to be nice and close, so you don't want a gap in there, and you'll see why later. Okay, so we've got our piece. Actually, I hammered that more up the top than I did down the bottom. All right, I'm not going to worry about that. Try and get it even, like, you know, same amount each end. I didn't realise I did that until I just caught it, the shining in the light there. Anyway, I'm not going to worry about it now, but as I said, just make sure you try and get it fairly even. All right, now I'm going to grab a piece of 28 gauge wire. I'm going to cut off roughly about 20 centimetres. That looks roughly 20 centimetres to me. Okay. Now we're going to take our wire, we're going to thread it down through our loop and through the centre. Now you want a longer bit of wire on this end than what you've got on this end here, but we need a little bit more than what I've got there. That looks about right. Probably about 6 centimetres you want on this tail end here. Okay. Now with the longer bit of wire, we're going to come down, try and hold this wire here out of the way, this little tail. So we're coming through the center there. The longer bit of wire, we're going to put down through that little gap that we left on the side of the little eye thing that we made in the center. That's why you needed the gap there. So bring that down through. And this is also why you need to make sure that your wire is touching there so it can't pop out. Okay, I've got that down. Now I short a bit of wire. I'm going to turn this over. Now short a bit of wire. This is hard to see in this light today. It's not a very bright day outside. We want it to come down through that gap, so it's coming out through, up through the eye. We want it to go down through the gap. And pull it through. Make sure you don't get any little loops like I just got one then. Pull that wire in nice and tight. You can pull from both sides. Okay, now we're going to get our little bar, and I'm just trying to remember how I did this now. Yeah, okay. So I've got that. Gosh, it's hard to see in this light, especially when you're working with something so little. All right, I'm going to come down through that, because we're coming up through the gap here in the side. I'm going to go down through the eye again. If I can see it. Yeah, I think I'm in there. Yeah. And we're making sure that we're coming out on the other side of our bar. You see there on the back? Okay. And then we're coming around. Excuse me. We're going to find a gap now. Between the last, you should be able to get it in there. There, it's coming through. I can't believe I have these problems on camera. Excuse me. Oh gosh. Okay, I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to come up on this side here. You can see there's a gap there. So bring that wire through. And that should bring you up to the top, hopefully without a little bend like I just got in my wires. So just straighten that up if you get a little kink like I got then. And bring it up. There we go. That's what it should be looking like now. Okay, we can take our little bar, find your right side, place the bar, like that, and I want it to come up and try and, you know, hide this the ending of your wire there. You only need a certain amount to fit something through up there, so you don't need a whole lot, just to disguise it a little bit. And we're going to wrap that around. And we're just going to go around that once and pull it nice and tight. You can use your pliers, pull it in nice and tight. And then we're just going to leave that end alone for the moment. I'm going to turn it over. Now, because I'm coming down this side here, I'm just going to run my wire down this side of the bar, just to keep the back a bit tidier, so it doesn't look, if you're crossing over and that's going to look a lot messier. So just try and keep it like running along the side of the wire. Bring it down. And we're going to wrap it around twice and up. And again, I'm going to run it down this side of the bar there like that. You can see the little eye of the ring there. We're going to go down through that. Then move your little bar across a bit. And you're coming out the back of the work at the moment. So we're going to bring this wire up. And then through the gap, not the eye, through the gap that we made. You might have to turn it over so you can see it better. So I'm coming up this side of the bar here, and I need to come down through this gap here on the opposite side of the bar. Like that, pull it in nice and tight. Now you can do that again, you can go up and around, if you feel you need to secure it more, but I don't think you need to do that. So that's, up to you. And then we're going to find a gap here again to bring our wire. Okay, I didn't get that very tight. So I've got a bit of a loop there. So just check the back of it and make sure that you don't do that. I might have to lift this. Okay, I'm lifting that up, so I've got that nice and tight. Making sure I've got it tight this time. I think I have, yep. And then pull that in nice and tight. And then find a gap. Okay, just looking for a gap here. As I said, this light here is terrible today. I really can't see anything very well. Get it through, come on. There we go. You just have to be a little bit persistent sometimes. Just fiddle around and make sure the end of your wire is nice and straight, and you'll get it through. Okay, so now we're going to bring this wire up to the top, there like that. And just put him to the side out of the way. Oh, actually you can wrap him around once. We'll take him around once. And now I'm going to take this wire here and I'm going to bend it over my finger like that. Get my cutters. And that looks about right to me. My round nose pliers on that mark that I made. And turn the loop like that. Now you can tidy that loop. That's not a perfect loop. I've been doing perfect loops all yesterday, and today I'm not getting one. You can tidy that up if you want to by cutting it. I'll do that later. I'm not going to worry about it now. So I'm going to wrap that around again, and one more time. And I'm going to break it on the top so that nothing can catch on the back when you're wearing it. So you can do that by twisting this wire or you can cut it and tap it down. Now you shouldn't have any rough parts there if you twist it like that. So I come up to the other end. Let's move down a little bit. Keep your eye on that. I should have checked that before I wrapped the top end to make sure I had this where I wanted it. I don't know if I could move it up. I don't think I can. But anyway, that's not what the look I was going for. I was going for, let me find one here that I've done. No, I can't find one there at the moment. I don't know where I did what I did with them. Anyway, so around again, up to the top, pull it in nice and tight, and then twist and pull your wire, and that should be nice and smooth. And that's our little link. So we've got a link going this way and a link going the opposite way. And why I did that, now just give me a second, I'll find where I put my other links. Okay, I've got another link here. So yeah, as I said, why I did that was because you can open this one up. You probably already know this anyway, but for people that are new to jewellery making that maybe don't know. So you've got one going this way and you've got one going that way. So this one, the one going back to front, would hook into that one there. Close it up. If I can grab hold of it. So that when you're wearing it, all your links lay nice and flat. If you did all this type of link and hooked them in, you'd have, you know, one sitting up like this and one sitting flat. So that's the reason why I did that. Okay, so that's our little link there today. I think it's a lovely little link. I'm not big into spirals. I think they're really overdone in wire work jewelry. Just the fact every time I see a pendant that someone's wrapped, there's always spirals in it. You know, I just think it's overdone. Anyway, that's just my personal opinion. So don't come at me about the spiral. I love spirals. I think they look beautiful, but I just think they're overdone. But I haven't done a actual proper chain with a spiral in it other than using, I did a video a couple of weeks ago using a spiral, like a little dangle thing that you attach to a link and put that into a chain. But an actual spiral link on its own, I haven't done one in a chain. So when I come back, I will give you an idea of what I've done using this particular link, putting it into a necklace chain, and I hope you all enjoy it. All right, I'll see you soon. So I've been sitting here making all these little coiled chain links here, and I actually found a little bit easier way, well, not so much an easier way to do it, but if you can see on this one here how it's moved down, and I was trying to cover up this part up here. So I figured out a way, and I will show you now how to do that, just in case you'd like to do the same thing or you find it easier to do. So I've attached it the same way we did, just the top part. The bottom coil still hasn't been attached yet. And I've brought my wire, as I showed you previously, if you want to look back if you don't remember there, up between these wires here. Now, as you can see, that's already covering that up here, but if I wrapped it the normal way that I did it, it would slide back down again, so you'd have that gap and you'd be able to see where your loop up here joined. So to cover that up, so you're coming up through there, so all you need to do is go through your loop here. Excuse me. Gosh, frog in my throat. And then just pull it in nice and tight, and then just wrap through your loop a couple of times. That's all you need to do to keep your keep your coil up there, covering up that open part of your loop. So just go through it, you know, 2 or 3 times, however many you like to do, and then just twist it off how I showed you before, and then continue on down to finish off your link here. So just wrapping around as I showed you before, coming up and going through. And always checking to make sure that you've pulled your wire through nice and tight so you don't get any little loops on the back or the front, whichever way it happens. So down through that hole, the eye of the spiral. And again, you can wrap that again if you want to, or you can just continue on and finish off how I showed you before. Yes, so I just thought I'd show you that quickly there, how to finish that off at the top. As you can see there, it covers up that loop beautifully up the top there. All right, next time I come back, I will have put a necklace together, or at least partially, to show you. All right, see you soon. Okay, I'm back with you, and I have to apologise. I have not had time this week to get the piece put together from this tutorial, but what I will show you is, ta-da! I've got all the bits and pieces that I need to put it together. I just haven't had time to assemble it. So what I'll do is, when I've done it, I'll place a picture on my Facebook group, and I'll also include it in my next week's video for people that aren't a part of the Facebook. Speaking of Facebook, if you're interested in joining, I'll leave a link down below in the description area. It's a lovely group. We've got over 500 members now. It's a very safe group, so there's no scamming and spamming and all that sort of stuff. There are questions that you need to answer, and also rules that you need to agree to. Now, you must click especially agree to the rules, because if I see it's a person's name or whatever, and they haven't agreed to it, I'm just going to assume that it's a bot, and I'll just decline that request. So please make sure that you especially agree to the rules. Other than that, that's all from me for this week. I'll catch you all next week. Have a good one, and in the meantime, go out there and make something beautiful. Bye, everybody.